So I moved to the back seat. This is how addicted to pornography I was. I would strap the phone to the harness that pulls the cup holders down. Okay, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Step Bro to Step Bro podcast. This is a podcast on how to help you stop watching pornography and turn yourself into a new man or a new woman and start living a really dope life. So I'm your host. My name is Tyler, and this is episode 1. Probably will get all of about 2 views on this video, but hey, if this helps at least one of you, then it's worth it for me. Let me say this before I introduce myself. If you are broke, if you're fat, out of shape, if you don't have enough confidence in yourself, if you cheated and you're trying to redeem yourself, if you feel stuck in life, I have been all of those. Now, porn, whether you watch a little bit of it or a lot, it's the single biggest factor affecting all of that right now. You know, I'm probably the first person to start a podcast this quickly saying it, but porn is the worst drug that's out there. Worse than, I don't think I can say the actual word, but let's just call it mathematics. Worse than Coca-Cola and all of those. And I'll tell you why in just a moment. But first, what I want to do is I just want to introduce myself because, again, this is podcast number 1. So for about 20 years, I was hooked on porn. So bad that it wrecked my relationships, changed my view of sex, made me lose myself completely. It got so bad for me that I got into a lifestyle that I can only describe to you as unimaginable. And in this podcast, I'm going to try, without getting banned, to explain what happened to me in that life because people need to know about this. I almost lost my life twice. Porn ruined my life so much that I was living in my car at one point. I was broke, fat, out of shape, getting cheated on, waking up every day at 2 p.m., no drive, no motivation. But I found a way out of it. And it took almost 20 years to figure it out. And it wasn't with therapy. It wasn't with cold showers, not with willpower, but it was by building a real life that gave me the purpose to pull myself out of the fake one. Now, 2 years ago, I started a program right here in beautiful Southern California. I've had over 100 local men and women so far go through my program and come out, number one, porn free, but also unrecognizable. So now I'm here to help you do the same. Quit porn so you can stop losing in life and get yourself in the right space in life so that you can leave that shit behind you and become what you want to be. You know, if you're tired of watching other people live while you're stuck in the same loop, you're in the you're in the right place right now. So sometimes we talk seriously, sometimes we joke around, sometimes we get deep. Okay, I think you need those 3 to overcome pornography. Unfortunately, porn destroys a lot of lives and the lives of the people that we had around us. But one thing that I never saw work for other men and women was the constant beatdown of the shame, like shame, 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 guilt, 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 usually coming from themselves or their partners. You know, porn in some way drives you to do just some really, really terrible things, whether it's cheating or it's blowing your entire life savings or killing your confidence. Maybe you get fired because you were caught watching some videos. The thing is, though, is that the thing that I've seen not work is when people, guys, women who are addicts, look in the mirror and just like constantly talk negatively about themselves. That shame, shame, or their partner is just rattling them with like guilt. You're this, guilty, guilty, guilty. It doesn't work. We need a little bit of humor. We need optimism. We're not making fun of any kind of situation, but we need motivation in our journey so that we can look forward. You can't move forward in the right direction as easily if you're getting the heaviness of the shame and the guilt constantly placed upon you. I imagine having to carry this big boulder of shame and guilt. You're just constantly looking down. You can't really look up because you've got this thing on your shoulder. So if you feel like my jokes sometimes are a little insensitive, maybe they're not considerate, just know that it's an ice pack. Okay. It's a little something to lighten the load that you're carrying.
Hey, yo.
See, like that, to lighten the load that you're carrying. To keep the optimism that we can not only quit porn, but change ourselves and then become legends in our own way. I used to be broke. I used to be living in my car, addicted to pornography, like the worst kind of life that you could possibly imagine. And I used to weigh 260 pounds. And now I've gotten in shape. I've lost close to about 40 pounds now. I live right here by the beach. I go to the beach almost every single day. Um, I live an amazing life. Started my own business, have the freedom to be able to travel where I want, when I want. It's a great life. One of my clients wanted to run the OC marathon. It just passed not too long ago. But he ran all of it. A couple of years ago when he was addicted to it, he wasn't going to the gym, he wasn't training, he was just so locked in. In fact, what he had told me was that he would just spend all day on the couch, dating apps, pornography, all that other stuff, and before you knew it, he would look up and just 8 hours of the day went by. I remember one of my lowest moments. I'm not just gonna, rattle off on people that I know. I'm gonna actually tell you some of the low moments for myself. Some of them are gonna be funny. Some of them are gonna be pretty serious. This is one of the funny ones to kind of lighten the mood here a little bit. So one of my lowest moments was this is what I would consider like my rock bottom phase. I was living in my car at the time. I was parked outside of a Starbucks. I think it was at midnight. It was around midnight, and Starbucks by this time is closed, right? But at the time, and I think they fixed this since then, but Starbucks used to keep their Wi-Fi running consistently all throughout the night. So as long as you stood next to a Starbucks, you could log into the Wi-Fi from your phone. So I parked outside of the Starbucks, and their Wi-Fi is still on. So I moved to the back seat. This is how addicted to pornography I was. I moved to the back seat of my car with my hoodie, like, I have, like, a dark hoodie over my head, like some kind of like like a digital goblin of sorts, and I would strap the phone to the harness that pulls the cup holders down, and, I didn't spend too much time looking for the perfect video. I just did my search and just kinda, like, tapped on the first one just because, I was just that, like, addicted to it and just, like, needed it in that moment. And at the time, I'm just praying that this video that I chose loads, because there were times where Starbucks did turn off their Wi-Fi and you didn't have access to it. And while I'm back there, it doesn't take much time. I swear, no exaggeration, tap on my window. Now, in the past, when I've done like long drives before and I've, pulled over to sleep, I'll get a security guard knock on the window and say like, "Hey, you can't park here. This is private." And I'll just let them know like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Like I was on the road right now, and I just needed a place to pull over and sleep." And they were usually understanding, but you usually got a security guard knocking on the window pretty quickly if it looked like you were about to park there overnight. And so I get the tap on the window. And at that point, because my experience is already with security guards and I know what I'm doing in the back seat, at that point, I think I'd rather my mom catch me with a sock in my hand because um, I peek a little bit up from I can't really see him, but I can see that he's got a beanie on and he's got a dark vest. But my windows thank goodness, at the time are tinted. And I noticed that he's not looking directly at me, so I freeze. I hold still, you know, like like a flashlight can't even get through the tint. So I'm like little Anne Frank at this point, like just hiding, trying not to get seen. So I move slowly and cover my chicken, and I pull the hood of my sweater over my face. Okay, just to hide my face, because I got that lighter complexion, and so if you're looking, like, that's one of the first things that you might be able to see, because I'm wearing all dark clothing. So I do those two things. I'm still not sure how long he had seen me, because for all I know, he could just be checking the cars. So I peek a little bit from underneath the hood, and he's standing in front of the car. The front windshield has no tint on it. And I'm in the back seat, and I can tell he's trying to like make out the shapes of what he's seeing in the back seat, which is me. And so I'm peeking from the space between the passenger seat and the headrest, a little space in between. And by this point, it's very clear he saw me pull into that space. So he walks back to the building that was attached to the Starbucks. This big building. So I hop in the front seat very quickly while he's there. So I'm like, this is my only chance to bolt right now. It's like the only chance I'm going to save myself from getting embarrassed. So I hop in the front seat while he's there. I turn on the car. I hit reverse. And thank goodness that I have a rear backup camera, because, um, of course, one of those long parade of those shopping carts that those guys collect at the end. Like, when you go to Costco or something like that, at the end of the night, the guys collect all the shopping carts, and you got this like caterpillar of a shopping cart line going by. That's what was behind me. And the guy who came up to my car now walks back over, and he's right there at my window. And I was like, there's nothing I could do at this point. This guy behind me is moving all the shopping carts. Like, I can't bolt out of here. So I roll the window down only about halfway, because through the tint, he can't fully see me. Remember, like, I could talk to him, but he won't be able to see me through the tint. I have 5% tint on the car. Thank you, Travis Scott, for coming out with that song, because I wouldn't have got 5% tint. Um, and so I roll the window down about halfway, and I kid you not, he goes, "Hi, are you here for a pickup?" And I like look forward, and I see that I'm parked. I'm in one of those mobile order spaces for like a Walmart or something. And I was like, "Oh, no, 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 no. I'm sorry. Sorry, wrong spot." So I think in that moment I'm in the clear. The worst part was that when he walked away and I looked down, the video that I was trying to load had loaded by that point. So all he probably saw was this guy parked in the wrong spot with a thumbnail of whatever the hell I was about to watch. If I had any doubt in the beginning if he knew what I was doing, it all went away in that moment. I know he saw that, which is probably why he left so quickly. So the moral of the story in all of that is, if you need stealth mode to, if you need stealth mode to do your little four-finger knuckle shuffle, it's probably time for you to switch missions. So that's one of my rock bottom moments, and I have a lot of those like that. And the thing is like a lot of guys have a hard time admitting that it's a problem, let alone calling it an addiction. I know a lot of us, sometimes we don't really like to think of ourselves as addicts. We don't like to think of ourselves as having a problem, but there's a lot of power in being able to recognize when there are problems. When you're able to recognize problems, it makes you stronger. Think about any kind of big organization. Whenever a C-level executive makes notice of some sort of issue that's going on in the assembly line or with their administration or something like that, he brings it to their attention. It's even better when they themselves, those departments, recognize it before any other higher up does. because that shows a level of self-awareness and wanting to run more efficient. Same thing works with you. You don't want your brain to have that moment where you're the CEO of your brain is saying like, wait a minute, like we got a problem. Where is this coming from? It's better for you to recognize that before a rock bottom moment hits that forces your brain to say, hey, like we got a problem and this has been going on for way too long. So the thing about porn is I always think of porn as like this invisible cloud all around the world. So think about an invisible cloud all over the world. And it's got these tentacle like arms that reach into every corner of the earth. Like if you ever seen Pokemon, I don't really watch a whole lot of Pokemon, but there was always a Pokemon that I always remembered in my head, and I always remembered the name. Its name is Tentacool, and it's this big, like, octopus, squid-looking Pokemon, and it's got all of these different tentacles and that are, like that go everywhere, and that's how I think of pornography sometimes, as this tentacool monster all around encompassing the earth, and there are tentacles reaching down all over throughout every corner of the earth. The reason why I say that is because these tentacles, it touches the rich people in penthouses. It touches the broke people in back seats of their cars, right? It's in Saudi Arabia where it's banned, and it's in America where it's monetized. Okay, it doesn't care if you're straight, gay, bi, or confused. It doesn't skip the church kids, doesn't skip the street kids. It's in private schools, it's in public schools, it's in prison bunks. It's everywhere. It's in the temples with the monks and the ministers. It's with the CEOs, it's with the seventh graders. And it speaks all different kinds of languages. Okay, so and no culture, regardless of what you may think, whatever your culture, there's because I've worked with a couple hundred people already on this. One thing that I've noticed with just a small amount of people that I've worked with, there is no culture or tax bracket that is safe from this because pornography doesn't knock on your door. It seeps in. You ever seen an octopus try to get through like a small little like pin-size hole? That's what pornography does. It does not knock at the door and wait for you to let it in. It seeps itself in. And when I first started coaching people, I always had it in my mind that it was always going to be these 40 and 50-year-old guys that were out of shape and not getting any from their wives. That's what I thought that I was going to be working with primarily. But I quickly realized that the people that are affected by porn has been like a thumbprint in the sense that no person has been the same as another. You know, again, like I said, different races, different cultures, different backgrounds, different income brackets, different everything. Okay, and you know, I know a guy that got kicked out of 3 of the biggest gym franchises. Uh, they wrote in his notes when they were typing up that he's banned from this particular gym. They wrote in the notes aggressively staring at the machine. But it was because it was so awkward what he was actually doing that they felt weird about writing it out. So he got banned from 3 different gyms in 2 months, not for fighting, not for stealing, for being creepy. But he wasn't touching anybody. He wasn't even talking to anyone for that matter. He was just watching, but he was watching too intensely. He'd go into the gym with a gallon of water and a towel like he was going to do a full-on workout, but he would spend 45 minutes warming up. And what's that machine where you grab those two sides? I think they call it a pec deck, where you grab those two sides and you're like working your pecs out. So he would spend 45 minutes on the pec deck because it was right in front of the benches where everybody does the free weights. And so he's on the pec deck and he's watching women stretch and do their hip thrust workouts, which is weird in itself, but it gets worse. So one day, a trainer walks by and hears this guy moan. Not a loud moan. It was a soft moan, like, mm. And it was all it was all involuntary. And the only reason why I'm laughing is because, like I said, like, we've had our low moments like this. Sometimes we just got to be able to laugh at them, right? Like, because we're trying to move forward, and sometimes we just got to laugh at this stuff. But it was all involuntary. Uh, and he was watching, like I said, the girls do like their stretches and their hip thrusts and all that. And they noticed that he was doing this again and again. So they go and check the security footage in the back. And he actually, what they discovered was he actually never had both his hands on the machine. He made a fake clasp arm and fit it through the sleeve of his hoodie, and so that it would clasp onto one part of the pec deck, and you can probably guess where his other hand was. So they pull him aside, but they mention just the moaning part. They don't say anything about the fake hand that they notice him slipping in. And they mention the moaning to him, and they're like, "Hey, we noticed that you're moaning and it's making other people kind of creeped out." And this was his response. "Oh, no, no, no. I just respect hard work, I just see them working hard, that gets me motivated, that gets me going." And and they're like, "Sir, we saw the fake arm, and the girl that you're looking at is also 18. Barely 18. Uh, you gotta go, like, forever." And that happened 2 more times at different gyms. Remember I said he got banned at 3 of the biggest gyms in the country. Come to find out he has a porn addiction. And hey, man, I mean, like I said, we've had our rock bottom moments, but if your screen time is, longer than your reps, don't be surprised if life starts banning you from other things, you know? And fake arm guy, if you hear this, please get into my course on how to quit pornography. Okay, I promise it'll get you where you want to be. People don't realize that porn kills your dreams. Literally kills your dreams. Whatever you want in life, porn makes you lazy, makes you procrastinate, increases your temper. If you got a temper problem, if you notice that you're always like upset about everything, like every little thing ticks you off, or you make really reckless decisions, or you're a bad decision maker, and you watch a good amount of pornography, I'm almost willing to bet that that's what's doing it. I love to talk about the brain, and I understand how pornography affects people's moods, how it makes them lazy and procrastinate. And we'll get into a deeper discussion on different parts of the brain in the next episode coming up. But just to give you a little taste of it, I want to talk to you about a word in neuroscience that's used a lot, but sometimes we don't really understand it from a very basic level. And so when we talk about it on a more advanced level, some of these neuroscientists like talk about it on a more advanced level. It's like, phew, it just goes like over our heads. And the word is your prefrontal cortex. It's often abbreviated as your PFC. And one of the benefits that I got from not studying neuroscience at like a university or a college was that when I speak about it now, I can explain it to you like you're learning it for the first time, because I know where I was mentally when I was trying to learn it for the first time. You hear like neuroscientists, oh, like your PFC is connected to this part, and then, it sends neurotransmitters to this area, and it's your dopamine reward system. Like, all of that stuff just goes over your head if you never even heard the term and you don't do much studying on it. If this is your first time hearing it, just your PFC, your prefrontal cortex, is the part of your brain that makes all of our decisions. It's like the CEO of your brain. But our PFC gets information from other parts of the brain before making that decision. So, for example, if you're walking down the street and you see a pretty girl, and as a porn addict, you say, "Man, I would love to have, I would love to have intimacy time with her, sexy time with her." But your PFC stops you and says, "Nope, that's illegal. You'll end up in jail. Let's not do that." But where did that information come from? That information came from other parts of your brain that it fed all to the PFC and said, and the PFC got all that information and said, "Oh, we probably shouldn't do that because jail and bad reputation and bad problems for the rest of our life." So it's like a CEO, when you're watching porn, like it's like the CEO of your brain getting bad analytical data, getting bad information. And porn sites are putting bad info out there, which is reframing our minds. Bad info out there means what? Bad info for your brain. So some of us start very early, very, very early. Like if you're like me, you started before you even got to the double digit years. Some of us start very early. And over time, what does that do to us? Well, did did you guys see that? Did you guys see that article a couple of days ago about, here, let me pull it up, about Pornhub and some other porn sites that are not, here it is. Look, the EU is investigating Pornhub, SearchChat, and two other non-pornography websites it believes may be falling foul of its online content laws. Said the sites did not appear to have measures in place to safeguard children and their rights. It said that this included an apparent lack of appropriate age verification methods to stop children accessing adult material. It said the platforms do not appear to be abiding by requirements for porn sites to use age verification tools to protect children from accessing adult content. So porn sites are putting bad info out there, reframing our minds. So the point that I'm trying to make here with this article is that we're still having problems with kids being able to access this. You know why the boomers get after millennials for wanting things without working for it and feeling entitled? It's because millennials grew up on quick access to porn. And people say, "Oh, well, you know what? The boomers had the magazines, back in the day. So, it's basically like the same thing." But back then, and I can't speak on it, maybe somebody in the comments can tell us this about what it was like back then. But as I understand it, back then, you had to work for it and you couldn't just access it in 5 seconds. You had to plan how you were going to get that magazine, how you were going to get it out of your dad's closet, or how you were going to get it in the magazine shop or the bookstore. But millennials, even if you didn't watch porn, the people around you did. And that influenced the rest of us to adopt a very gimme it now mentality. Like, gimme now. Like, I want it now. And there were other people around you that struggled with this. And so you're learning through osmosis of what these people are now used to. So that's why we're very like, give it to me now. I want this now kind of mentality. Not all of us are like this way, but a lot of us. So, and look what easy access did to a lot of us as adults. So you're getting bad information from porn and it's happening in the early years. You're getting taught with bad information. So that's that's why, and I hate to put it very bluntly, but that's why you're broke. That's why you're fat. That's why you're out of shape. That's why you can't get out of bed in the morning. That's why your relationship isn't solid. That's why you feel stuck in life. You're barely surviving. Every one of those things that I said takes a lot of time to build. But what did porn teach us? That takes a lot of time to build, but what did porn teach us? Now, I want it now. If it's not now, I don't want it, right? Shit's getting really weird in our world today, man, and it's a lot of like good versus evil is starting to show itself. And I guess the point that I'm trying to make is, what side do you want to be on? And what side do you think pornography is on? because this good versus evil divide is only getting further and further away. What side of that do you want to be on? And a lot of people think like, well, I want to choose to be good, but I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to enjoy things in life because there's things that I like that I know that are not good for me and I enjoy them. But you can still have the pleasures in life, you know? If you're being real with yourself, you may not be able to enjoy watching pornography because it's not good for you, but there are other alternatives that can give you a similar feeling to that. Okay? The only problem is that your tolerance is very high, and so pornography is the only thing that's doing it for you. But there's a lot of power and there's a lot of effectiveness and potency in achieving some of the things that you've always wanted in your life. You probably don't know what that feels like because you haven't achieved that yet. You may not be in the shape that you want to be in yet. You may not feel proud of that. You may not be eating healthy and you're not proud of that because you don't live that kind of a lifestyle. You may not be living exactly where you want to be yet. Okay, but there's a lot of excitement and a lot of power in being able to have those kinds of things. But because we don't have them and we want them now, 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 pornography is the thing that gives us a huge, huge spike and allows us to have it right then, right now. So you can still have the pleasures in life. Like I said, you just have to be very self-aware of whether or not that pleasure is something that's beneficial for your life or not. I'll give you the perfect example. I love I love going out to eat. I love like fast food. I love sitting down at a restaurant. I love to eat a lot of good food. That's why I was 260 pounds. By the way, porn increases your appetite. I'll go into this in another episode. The porn increases your appetite. So if you watch porn, chances are you're also out of shape as well. So when it increases your appetite, you also end up eating more. If you end up eating more, you end up gaining more weight, and porn makes you lazy, which means you're not going to the gym, so you're not burning off all of that food. And it also makes you crave sugar. And sugar is one of those things that's like a hormonal thing where even if you go to the gym and exercise, the sugar is causing you to hold on to that weight. I'll get into that in the next episode. But the point that I was trying to make is the perfect example is I like to go out to eat and I like to eat all these great foods. But some of these foods do not have the right ingredients in them. We're talking seed oils, we're talking glyphosate, we're talking non-organic, a lot of different things. We're talking about dyes and artificial flavors. Thank goodness it's becoming a lot more popular to talk about this thing because those kinds of things are keeping you fat, out of shape, addicted to pornography, and addicted to sugar. But when I stopped eating like that and I started substituting those restaurants with healthier restaurants, all of a sudden I found that I could still enjoy the pleasures of life of being able to go out and sit down at a restaurant and enjoy time with my family, my friends, the people that I love, and I could still eat food that tasted good. Now, it takes a little bit more work to find places like that, but you got to find substitutes. These pleasures in life, there's a reason why the ones that are not good for you are so easily accessible. So pornography is an easily accessible one, but if you want to find an alternative to that, you got to do some digging. What's an alternative to pornography? Okay? You got to use your brain, you got to do a little bit of brainstorming. So, I think I think we all want it's safe to say we all want to live an amazing life. But what is a true amazing life? That's different for everybody. So you got to ask that question for yourself. Okay? There's a light out there for everybody, man, for all types of people. Life sometimes you don't get it exactly how you want it, but you can change yourself and you can change your environment at any time to help you meet it at least halfway, to get that life that you want at least halfway. So this is episode 1. Go get your wins today, man. Make sure to like and subscribe because I'm thinking about doing some surprise giveaways if you're a subscriber. So make sure to like and subscribe, and I will announce a giveaway in the near future, okay? Do something good for yourself today. Go for a walk. Call your friend. Don't go to the gym with any fake arms in your hoodie. All right. And also check out my course on how to quit porn in 90 days, man. 90 days. That's all I need. Go through my course, 90 days. You will quit pornography, and I will put you on a fast track to doing what I did. Now I wake up every single day before the sun rises. I live here by the beach, definitely not living in my car anymore. Definitely not fat anymore. There's a lot of changes that you can make once you start giving up pornography. So check out the course. Make sure to like and subscribe. Go get your wins today, and I'll see you soon.